Oh, hey, we're live this week for the post-Independence Day Lotus Lounge. So, welcome to this week's Lotus Lounge, the first one in the month of July 2023. And, well, this is an interesting topic this week. So, I'll have a little bit of a personal story in a second, but as you probably saw, is like, we're talking about personal care products and are there toxic ingredients in them? And the answer is, well, there very well could be. Spoiler alert, I just answered the whole thing. So yeah, we'll see everybody does next. Nah, never mind. No, we'll continue this week. So, real quick, Carrie has a great description on this. So pardon me as I read it because it's over here. It's like in this video, we're going to discuss 5 synthetic chemical commonly found in personal care items and why we all should be aware of the chronic toxicity associated with their use. And if you're interested in proactive aging, losing weight, detoxification, or just leading a healthier lifestyle, this information is for you. This information is for everybody. So, a real quick personal anecdote here. When Carrie and I first met, I thought maybe she was a little overly concerned about stuff of this nature. But as I've come to learn more, no, this is just something that we all should be aware of, and I probably wasn't open enough to it earlier. Several years ago, you can't see it on my hands, but I have a condition. I can always have a problem pronouncing it because I am not a doctor, but Pomfilix. It's non-contagious, but it's basically a type of dystrophic eczema. And it can be annoying. It's not contagious, but it can be very annoying. It is incredibly better now, infinitely better. There's no cure for it. But a lot of the steps I've taken, of which I'm gonna, in all honesty, it's not the topic this week, but the collagen and the nerve tooth, the protamine. Allowing my body to work better. I've noticed an immense improvement after being on those particular things. So it's, I love it. So anyway, but a lot of, when I was first diagnosed with this, the doctor went through a whole litany of questions like, well, do you have a new detergent? Did you try new lotion? Did fabric softener? This, that, all these things. And I'm just like, I don't know. Well, specifically, no, I don't. But you know what? It very well could be, it very well likely is related to this topic we're talking about today. Something that is commonly in personal care or skincare items that help contribute to this. So anyway, we got 5 things we're going to touch on briefly. And I'm going to throw it over to our resident expert, who is not Kit Kat because he is not in his office right now. So we'll let the lovely Carrie Berardinelli touch on these 5 things. And if I have any questions, I may chime in at some point, but I'm going to throw it over to you, Carrie.
Thank you, Chad.
Well, you're welcome, Carrie.
Although it's not the topic for this week, I think it is important to mention that these chemical ingredients are found not just in personal care items, but items that we commonly come into contact with on a daily basis in our environment. So I would recommend, especially if your body is going through a healing journey at this time, or you're just at a point where you're just ultra aware of habits and what you've been exposed to, and again, leading that healthier lifestyle, start researching and just getting an understanding of what's in your environment. And I often tell my clients, and I tell myself, and I've told you, Chad, we can't eliminate exposure because it's everywhere. We can't avoid it, but we can reduce the exposure with our own everyday decisions and buying habits.
Yeah.
So reducing toxic exposure goes far And it's not like, well, because it's everywhere, why even bother? No, every little step and effort makes a huge difference.
Well, and I think maybe it's important to point out real quick too that not everything, well, everything is toxic in the heavy enough dose. You know, it just depends on what it is. But aside from that, not everything not all ingredients are going to bother you, but but there's enough of them where it's been commonly used for a while, and maybe there's awareness or a lack of appreciation that it's, like you said, it's better for us to be aware than not aware, because things do accumulate and build up over time. So why don't we go ahead and start the list?
All right. So I have broken down this list into categories. And the first category I'm going to touch on are preservatives. And the reason I'm going to start with preservatives is because the ingredient I'm going to mention in just a moment is an ingredient that is now being listed on labels. And it's become common knowledge. And that ingredient is called parabens, which represents a group of different chemical compounds that form this, what we call parabens. Parabens, the reason we want to stay away from parabens is because they're known hormone disruptors. And when you're looking on a label, often you'll find the parabens at the very bottom of the ingredient listing, because preservative systems often are included in a formula in low concentrations. However, we need to be mindful that low concentrations accumulate if you're using a product every single day for a year or 2 years, and maybe several different products that contain this particular ingredient. And so what you want to look for on the label is, like, I have some examples: propylparaben or butylparaben. Those are some two common examples of the class of parabens being in your product. The next preservative I'm going to touch on is BHA or BHT, which you can find. It used to be a very commonplace that they used to line cereal bags with BHA, BHT. And the reason why we want to avoid this chemical is it's also a hormonal disruptor, but also deemed as carcinogenic. And I think a lot of companies are leaning away from lining cereal bags with this preservative. So that's not to say all preservatives are bad. There are preservatives that are deemed approved and appropriate for organic products, because having a preservative system overall is important. So you're not growing mold and yeast in your products. Right, Chad?
Well, that's a good thing, yeah.
The next class I'm going to touch on are called surfactants. And surfactants are what give a product its lather, its sudsing ability. And the ingredient in particular I'm going to talk about is called sodium lauryl sulfate. And that's another ingredient that I think a lot of people are aware of. This ingredient is a skin irritant. It actually strips the skin's lipid barrier, so it can cause irritation, also dermatitis type of symptoms. And the next ingredient are PEG compounds, like polyethylene. And so both of these together are skin irritants, but also deemed as carcinogens. So we definitely want to really try to stay away from these type of surfactants. Again, not all surfactants are bad, and there are those that are deemed appropriate for organic products.
Well, but there's also, like so many things too, it's like unless everybody's completely aware, a lot of companies, either knowingly or unknowingly, may use certain things which aren't the best for us because it's the easiest on their end.
It's cheap.
It's cheap. It works for what they're saying is intended, but there could be longer term consequences and irritants. I mean, once again, I mean, you read some of these descriptions and it's like, well, I mean, this sure sounds like something that could trigger what I have. So, not to mention lots of other people. So, look at all the number of people with skin irritations and issues.
Oh, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's pretty common anymore. So, okay, so.
Okay, number 3, one of my favorite topics, sunscreens. And we did touch on,
don't get started on this. Don't get started. Yeah.
We did touch on this briefly in another previous video. And that ingredient is oxybenzone, which, again, a known hormone disruptor. And it's also, it's been what do they call?
Linked.
Huh?
Linked.
Well, it's a hormone disruptor, but it's killing off coral reefs.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah,
You'll also see this on sunscreen bottles, like coral reef.
Yeah, I believe there's certain places. Yeah, I believe there's certain places where you're not allowed to use it. Countries, areas, regions near coral reef, in the ocean near coral reefs. Yeah.
Hawaii being one of them. Yeah. So oxybenzone, and I tell my clients, as far as a sunscreen that is non-toxic and actually good for your skin, look for zinc oxide, which is a mineral compound, very good for the skin and does an excellent job at screening those rays.
I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll keep going. Okay, number 4 is fragrances. Now, fragrances are very interesting because often fragrance can potentially be like 100 different ingredients. And companies are allowed to term it as fragrance because it's intellectual property, so to speak. So it's like their trade secret, and they don't have to give out what is it that makes this product smell so good. So they can just term it as fragrance. However, there's synthetic fragrance and there are natural fragrances. I'm talking about synthetic fragrances, in which case cause extreme skin irritation, respiratory irritation, and are the cause of a lot of different allergic reactions that people experience, from dermatitis, contact dermatitis, to headaches, like eczema. Yes. So we definitely want to stay away from fragrance. And I just want to mention really quick, I said there's fragrances that are good fragrances. That would be essential oils. Essential oils, I know people get confused with anything that has fragrance to it. Essential oils are a natural fragrance. I'm talking about synthetic fragrances is what you want to stay away from. And then the last ingredient, number 5, are phthalates. And phthalates are like a plastic type of chemical that gives texture and flexibility to things. And you can find this in so many different products.
Real quick, it says phthalates are a group of chemicals used to make plastics more durable. They're often called plasticizers. They help dissolve other materials. They're found in hundreds of products such as vinyl, flooring, lubricating oils, and personal care products. It's a little bit of a cross section. It's like, Okay, so why the personal care products? So
Yeah, and with phthalates, if you're looking to avoid them and you're like, well, what is it going to say on an ingredient listing? I just wanted to give a couple of examples. Dibutyl phthalate, or DBP, and dimethyl phthalate, or DMP. DMP. Dimethyl phthalate I have seen on ingredient listings for sure. So why do we want to stay away from phthalates? Because it's a hormonal disruptor associated with reproductive issues, and it's also deemed as carcinogenic. And why is it a big deal if something is disruptive to your hormones? Well, all of metabolism and all of your body's working is dependent on hormonal signaling. So when you have these synthetic chemicals that are disrupting that, it can look symptomatically, it can look like anything, but your metabolism is being disrupted. Your cellular function is being disrupted. And this is really overworking your liver. Your liver's job is to neutralize these toxins. However, if you're nutritionally deficient, your ability to do that is compromised. You need nutrients in order for the liver to do its job. And so once the liver starts to get sluggish, and then overall metabolism starts to slow down, this is when people experience weight gain, troubled skin, dull looking hair. Their nails are, maybe not as durable. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
So you're going to start seeing the symptoms of too much toxicity on the body symptomatically. And you're going to just deem it as I'm getting older, or maybe going to the doctor for some sort of diagnosis, when really all you have to do is clean up your lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting too. I looked up something through the CDC and the National Institutes of Health here, and it's talking about this and the phthalates, and it says must be listed among the ingredients on product labels now, unless they are added as part of the fragrance in quotes. Under current law, they can be simply labeled as fragrance, even though they may make up 20% or more of the product.
Woohoo, Chad!
Says many companies have voluntarily removed phthalates from their products. They'll usually label on the product it's phthalate free, but yeah. So I mean, it can be masked under fragrance. So hence why synthetic fragrances are you delineated between natural, like essential oils or other natural products versus synthetic. Anyway, yeah, so that's an important point. So we hit on all 5 today.
Yes,
that's pretty good. So,
and I think we've given our audience a good reason to be aware of avoidance, or at least reducing what we have control over in our environment through our personal buying habits and choices.
Yeah, and there's, like I mentioned at the start, I cannot definitively say, but somewhere along this line, what you discussed is probably where I ran into my issue. But then also by being more aware and a better lifestyle, I've also, while it's not cured, have greatly alleviated it to the point where it's pretty much a non-issue anymore. And that's the awareness, and then also, like we talk about the collagen and the NERV2 activator, which I really contribute a lot to for this.
And don't forget your diet.
Well, yeah, diet. Yeah, awareness, diet, lifestyle. Little things add up. So anyway,
And so what can we ask our audience to do?
well, I'd be interested to see how many other people have skin issues or something, some other issue that, you know, you see, look at all the people that have some sort of issue with psoriasis or eczema forms of it, or, sensitivity to certain things that you put on your skin or whatnot. If anybody's run into anything, I'm curious, post about it. It'd be interesting to see. So anyway.
And for more information about what Chad and I do and what we offer through Lotus Evolutions Holistic Spa, you can go to our website, lotusevolutions.com. You can also DM on Facebook, on the Facebook platform, any questions you may have. Although, if you want a quick answer, maybe don't go that route. And you can email us for a quick answer at evolveyourself@lotusevolutions.com.
Yeah, and our screener Kit Kat will be right on that as soon as he's back on the job.
Okay.
Wherever he's at. Anyway. Okay, well that's great. So okay, well thanks everybody. We'll see you
next
next week. See, look at those clear hands now. Yeah, less red.